Government assistance should not be incentivized. What do you mean by incentivized?
What I mean is that it shouldn't be something that is encouraged, right? Like, how do you define incentivization? And then I'll give you my definition.
Government should not be okay. But
How do you
would
define
it?
incentivized?
Wouldn't that be like a subsidy? Because subsidies are literal encouragement by the government.
I mean, when I'm talking about an incentivization, I'm talking about something that is actively. I mean, it could be subsidized, and if that's the case, then I would probably argue that government assistance is probably subsidized more
So,
likely than not because you have a lot of people who take advantage of it.
so
But
a
when I'm talking about
subsidy is
incentivization,
a subsidy is the incentive, right? So what they do is that uh, they introduce money into it to basically get the ball rolling, so people can get like a product for cheaper. They usually do it to encourage some sort of behavior or action that they would like to see more of because it has like beneficial outcomes for one reason or another. And so like you're saying government assistance should not be incentivized like like that would include all subsidies. Like, do you see my confusion?
I see where you could be confused at. Um, what I'm referring to more specifically is about the likelihood of somebody who is in poverty. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This was a very racially motivated argument that I'm making because the vast majority of black men and women, primarily black women, are on government assistance more likely than not welfare, right? And I think that the reason why a lot of black culture, the reason why a lot of black people, especially within our culture, are lacking and failing on an economic measurement is because we take advantage of welfare far too much. That's what I'm arguing. And I was saying that the decentralization of government assistance would possibly give better of an encouragement to the black community to actually, make a name out of themselves rather than just, make a name out of the government assistance that they acquire.
Can I ask you, um, why do you think people go into welfare?
Because they're poor and they feel like that they don't have any other resort to go off of. I feel
Okay,
like it's probably a last resort measurement that they take.
okay. So, are you saying that they shouldn't get that help?
I think that if they get the help, right, then they should be able to find ways to work away from needing that help any further. I think a lot of people, and this isn't even just black people in general, this could be anybody that's in poverty, but I do believe that I do believe that in a lot of cases, people who are dealing with an issue of poverty are only looking at it from a one-dimensional standpoint. Oh, now I have the government assistance, so I'm good, right? Not necessarily. You still need to be able to figure out a way for you to get out of that government assistance, right? Or get to the point where you no
Do you
longer
think
need that government assistance. I don't think people are taking that. I don't think people are taking that measurement to actually pursue that.
do you think like if somebody had a poor education, do you think that they would likely have this kind of a one track mindset as opposed to like thinking more deeper about it, or what do you?
Probably,
Okay,
and I mean, then that would be an argument about changing the education system, right? Which
sure.
I wouldn't necessarily be against that, right? I would probably be against the methodology depending on how you would argue to pursue it.
So are you
But
saying that it's a good idea to encourage people to get educated?
yeah, I think it's a better idea to encourage people to actually want to push forward policy that better incentivizes a better education, or not incentivizes, or
So
better pursues a
you
better
do
education.
think that government assistance should be incentivized? I just walked you to it.
How so?
You said education.
I mean, education is a different thing, though,
That's an
right?
incentive.
How is education an incentive?
You are paying
Maybe
money.
I'm retarded.
to incentivize them to get schooling.
Wait, but is it an incentive if it's required? You have to do it.
Believe it or
Incentive,
not,
incentivizing is something that you
in
would
some
encourage
states,
something to.
it's not required.
What do you mean it's not required?
Yeah,
Bullshit.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not screwing with you.
I feel like you pulled up my leg a little
I'm
bit.
not. I'm not. So I agree with you. Having more education benefits outcomes, right? It makes life better for pretty much everyone because you have less stupid people, and then you also have people that make more educated decisions, which then results in better, like the system working better, right? People make decisions that are more educated. And however, if you're in favor of such a thing, that would mean that you're okay with the incentivization of government assistance.
So when I'm talking about government assistance now, whether or not we can argue education being government assistance or an incentivization or not, that's a different conversation. But
What is the
I
Pell
should
Grant?
I should well that's a government assistance. I'm almost positive.
Yeah. What is it? What is it?
Yeah, the Pell there's an Pell Grant for like college and shit. I don't know.
Yep. Basically, if
Yeah,
you're poor, you
and if you get
can
into college,
get
they
can
give you a
get
Pell
a
Grant.
few $1,000, right?
Yeah,
You can go to your community college. You with me?
yeah. Okay, so hear me out. Let's revise this take
Are you in?
and say that welfare shouldn't be
Hey, I got you to
incentivized.
change your take.
Yeah, you got me. Let's revise. Let's
Based.
revise it because you kind of got me here. You got me here. I'm sorry. I was specifically talking about welfare, and I should have specified that. But let's talk about welfare because that's what I really want to go. That's what
Okay.
I really
Yeah, let's talk about
want to
welfare.
dumb
You want to
to.
do
Yeah.
do you want to try what's it called? Um yeah, no. Do you want to try food stamps?
We
Are you
can
against
we can
food
look at food.
stamps?
We can look at food stamps. I'm not against food stamps. I'm not against
I hope not.
welfare. I'm against the amount of people that obtain these things. That's
So,
what I'm
like,
against.
I mean, like, to me, the way that I think about this is, like, if people don't get enough food, people, they riot. Would you say that that's a fair assumption? When people don't
It's a
get
more
food, they tend to go fucking crazy,
That is a likely scenario I will not deny.
right? Yeah, I mean, they can't feed their kids. They start stealing crap. They'll start stealing stuff. They'll break into cars. They'll do everything that they can to make sure that they can feed themselves and kids. Do you know why? Because it's life and death, right? So
Very
they
true.
they stop caring about societal like boundaries. They will gladly knife a person to get their next meal if it was that crazy. So under that basis, I would assume you don't want to see all of society collapse. Yes.
I wouldn't.
Okay. So do you think an incentivization of having people on food stamps might be a good idea?
I don't think it should necessarily be an incentivization though, because when I'm talking about incentivization, I'm I'm thinking of something that is actively being encouraged. Somewhat of a cop out. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is that you have a lot of people, like I was saying earlier, that will take advantage of this this form of welfare rather than actually using it as a means to help get back up on their feet. Right now, and this is just off the top of my head, I'll see what I can find to support it when I get out this game. But from what I understand, is that there are a lot of people, and by a lot I mean the vast majority of people in the United States are on welfare right now as we speak. And rather than actually try to come up with ways to get people out of welfare so that they will no longer need it in the future, right? This is just something that generally still people will still utilize welfare simply because it's easily acquirable and easily accessible, right? That's the problem.
All right. So before we continue forward, I'm gonna have to do the definitional game with you.
which means that I'm
Would
going
you
to have to
say that a
lead this game.
fair? Would you say no? Would you say that a fair definition of incentive is a thing that motivates or encourages one to do something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can go with that.
And incentivize is to provide someone with an incentive for doing something.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so regarding food stamps, if somebody is like stealing, right, for food, do you think that we should likely incentivize them to get on food stamps so that way they don't have to suffer and die
Well, let me before we
and
do
steal
that,
someone else's stuff that's not theirs?
before we do that, let me ask you this: is this person having a difficult time acquiring a job?
Yeah, I mean they could just suck. Sure, maybe they just suck. Maybe they just don't want a job.
Mm, See, and that's where we're going to have to fundamentally disagree because you can't just make other people's lives miserable just because you're too much of a chicken shit lazy motherfucker, excuse my French, to go out and get a job so you can be able to buy your own food. Like, let's
Gotcha.
call it for what it is. That's insane.
So
If
hold
you are in a
on, right?
situation
Do
where
you
you
think that
literally
like
cannot wait. If you're in a situation where you literally cannot acquire basic survivability needs, right? Whether that be food, housing, whatever the case may be. If you can't acquire those things, right, which me and you would probably agree, we consider to be fundamental rights. I consider food and housing to be a fundamental right to every human being. If you have not done your due diligence to be able to to be able to go through the things you would need to go through in order to obtain those things, like get a job, then that doesn't give you the right to go out of your way to try and make somebody else's life miserable by potentially killing them or doing harm to them simply because you don't want to be able to work for what they worked for, right? That's the problem that I have, and I think that in a
yeah.
lot of cases, there's we're still in a situation where people are still stealing from people for the sake of getting basic survivability needs, right? And this could come in the form of taxation. I think that the way that we are taxing our average American citizen in order to be able to provide these levels of government assistance to said individual is insane because let's not forget the fact that the vast majority of Americans right now are in poverty, right? And we're still taxing them to shit just so another portion of Americans could be able to obtain government assistance, which isn't even that easily obtainable to the vast majority of people who are in poverty right now. So realistically speaking, there's a lot of issues that's going on with our government for us to be encouraging people to be able to go into food stamps when we don't even know for certain if they're exercising the options to be able to not even need food stamps.
Uh,
They shouldn't need that for as long as they do.
Let me walk you through some of my logic here. Um, so let's say you got lazy fuck, right? Guy who just couldn't be fucked to do anything and better their life. They're even capable, they're able, right? But if they don't get the food stamps, the end result is that they end up stealing stuff, right? Makes life worse for people, if you will, right? Does it make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So, in society A, we take this person to jail, right? Now, I'm just curious. We took them to jail. They're no
Society A.
longer stealing. But the end result is what? They're in jail, right?
Hmm.
Which does what? Doesn't that cost money?
It does cost money.
Okay. And then what happens? This guy is like no longer like present in society and can't be like a player on the open market, even though
But on
he's
the
a
same
broke
token,
ass loser, right?
what is that spot?
What?
Um, Apex. And this dude has a stupid fucking
Yeah.
spot. I'm about to kill him.
So all I'm trying to point out to you is so in society A, they go to jail, right? And
Hmm.
then in society B, I just gave them food stamps, what actually costs less at the end of the day than to jail them
Wait, food stamps last time I checked would cost them more.
versus giving them
Not
full room and
necessarily.
board. Are you sure about that?
No, actually, right? Because if we're actually looking at the measurement of crime versus the measurement of people who are on food stamps, right?
Oh
People are
boy.
far there are a lot more people in food stamps than there is a prison population. At least that's what I remember reading on. Right? So if
I
that's the case,
agree. But I'm
technically it would cost a lot more money to put somebody on food stamps just based off of the collective job and pay for his own dues so that he can be able to get what he needs, which would be, food and housing and so on and so forth, right? Then what you're proposing to me is basically a lose-lose situation here. It basically coming in a form of, oh, simply because this is going to happen anyway. This is what's inevitably going to happen is that he's gonna end up, stealing and causing all these other issues anyway. So we might as well just give him the benefit of the doubt by allowing him to, be
well,
by using our money to pay for his
but
shit.
hold on, right?
We'll
Like
deal with his
under
own
I'm
government
just
office.
offering a hypothetical, right? Obviously the opposite could be the case, but I'm just offering like under the basis of the hypothetical. Okay?
Hmm.
And so in the hypothetical, right? What does food stamps pay for? It pays for food, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And what does jail pay for?
it pays for housing and all that other shit.
It pays for everything, doesn't it?
It's
Water,
basically everything.
sewage, electricity, food. So it's fair to say that if they're in jail, it costs them more than to just give food stamps.
Sure, but again, how much would it cost? How much does that cost currently versus how much it would cost to put somebody in prison currently? Like the
It's
amount of people who
more.
are
You agreed that it's more.
but wait. You're missing the point. The amount of people who are on government assistance right now versus the prison population. How much is it costing us right now? It's not. Food stamps is costing us more than paying for the
Yeah,
prison
because there's
population. Last
millions
time I
more
checked.
Americans on food stamps than they are in
Right,
jail. But
right.
your
What I'm saying
argument
is that
is
we.
if
No,
they
no, no,
just
no,
go
no,
to
no.
jail,
No, 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 no. That's not my argument, right? My argument is that this person should be encouraged, should be further incentivized to actually get a freaking job so he can pay for his own stuff
wait,
instead of stealing everybody else's stuff.
I
Not
don't
giving, not
disagree
giving.
with that.
No, wait. So that's the premise that I was coming from in the first place. Like I wasn't like
No,
I
you
would
went on
argue
a
I was being
premise saying you went on a premise saying that government assistance should not be incentivized. But there are
right.
instances of government assistance where the incentivization causes society to be better. And you agreed with education, you agreed with the Pell Grant, and so I'm just showing you another instance where it
And I
makes
disagree.
it
I
better.
disagree with the
And
amount of people that are on food
in
stamps.
terms of food stamps. Food stamps is one of the most successful policies that have ever been created from the United States government,
Right. Right.
save for like Social Security. It's like insanely successful. And not only that, it helps pull people out of poverty and it lowers overall crime because now people aren't running around stealing just to get basic necessities. They can get food.
Now, do you see? Now, this is where I'm arguing from. There are far more people who are on wealth, not welfare, who are on food stamps right now, right? Than there should be. Now, you have certain people who are on food stamps for a certain amount of time that could range from possibly like 5 to 10 years, right? Now, in our current economy, as shit as it is, I don't think it would take that long for you to be able to acquire or to be able to accumulate that much of wealth for you to be able to make ends meet via your own level, right? And not via the level of what everybody else as a society is providing you, right? What I'm arguing from is that nobody is obligated to my money. That's what I'm saying, right? And based off
Nobody
of
is
that,
obligated to your money?
no, I'm obligated to my money.
Really?
Nobody's obligated to my money. I pay. I worked for my money. I got my own money through my own labor. So to say that I have to pay for somebody else's food, right, when they have the ability to get their own food, is batshit. That's the problem. I'm not
So,
looking for nobody to pay for my shit. That's what I'm saying.
so are you against taxation?
I'm against the amount of taxation that we're in right now. I will say
Hold
that.
on. That wasn't my question.
I'm not against taxation. I'm against the level of taxation that we are in right now. Americans on average are getting taxed at an excruciating level, in which I would argue is what's contributing to the reason why we have a lot of Americans who are hardly able to make ends meet. Now, Amender, answer me this: within the last 10 years, has the how many people has the homeless blah, blah, blah. Within the past decade, has the homelessness rate increased or decreased
Uh, you're talking in the United States?
in the United States? Yes,
I actually don't know that off the top of my head.
it's increased within the past decade. It's gotten worse, far, far worse.
Let's take a look here.
And we've had government assistance in the form of food stamps and welfare, so on and so forth, for how long? Since Lyndon
Well,
B.
the question is whether or not that you observe that food stamps doesn't have a net positive income, right? Like you're showing me a fire and I'm presenting to you a fire hose, and because the fire hose doesn't cover all of the fire, you're like, get rid of the hose. It doesn't make any
No,
sense.
no. I'm not saying get rid of the hose. I'm saying fix the hose.
Okay, okay,
Hey,
but so but
you're
then you're
missing
not
the
against but then you're
point.
not against
Either
food
fix,
stamps and you're
either
not
fix,
against
either fix the
taxation
hose.
either.
Again, I never said that I was against it, Amanda. You're missing the point. With taxation, I'm against how much we are being taxed. With food stamps, I'm against how many people are using food stamps. That's
Chat,
insane.
am I
The fact,
losing my mind? I could have sworn
no,
he
you're
said he didn't
not.
like taxes.
We can lose. No, I said I'm against how much we are taxed. I said that from the get go. What are you talking about? Come on now. I've been saying that from the jump.
I
What do you
don't.
mean?
I feel like your original argument of government assistance should not be incentivized. I'm giving you examples where it is
Right. I
beneficial. You
read
seem to
more.
be agreeing that it is beneficial, but you just don't like how much you're being taxed. Which,
No, no, no,
fine,
no.
fair
Okay,
enough.
okay,
That's a different
okay.
discussion entirely.
All right.
But the question
Let me
is whether or
characterize
not
my
that's
argument.
a thing.
Let me characterize my argument better, right? Because granted, being in the game, I'm not as artistic as you are. So I'm not able to be able I'm not that good at formulating my own argument in the middle of a game like you are. All right? So let me oh, just hear me out, right? Oh my
Okay.
god, I'm stopping. Um the Jesus Christ, leave me alone, bro. God damn it.
Hi, Bonji.
All
Well,
right.
I'll give you the last
Getting,
word, and
yeah,
then
and
I'm
then
gonna
I'll
move
dip.
on to the next person. Okay. But I really
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
you joining because this has been fun.
no,
I
no,
really enjoy having
no
our
problem. I'll be here
conversations.
next.
So there's that.
I'll
Also,
stop in next
hi,
Thursday.
Base God Flashy. Hi, Satium. It is good to see you all. I'm very glad that y'all have made it. Anyway, sorry. So
No, you're good.
go ahead. I'll let you have
Um,
the last word.
yeah. So all I'm gonna say is this: what I'm saying with the taxation bit is that we are taxed too much. We need to fix the amount of taxes that we are putting under our Americans. Obviously, taxes are needed and taxes can help, but when we're overtaxing our Americans, this is what's going to be one of the main contributing factors as to why you have so many Americans today who are struggling. I'm not against food stamps. As a matter of fact, I'm not against welfare in general, right? What I'm against is the amount of people that are under welfare, because there's an argument that could be made that the vast majority of the people who are under welfare right now, or any form of any form of welfare, are possibly don't even need it in the first place, right? They have the ability to be able to acquire what it is that they can acquire off of their own merit if they were to actually pursue what it is that they're looking to pursue in the first place. We don't need to keep paying off every single American's issue, right? At some point, we have to end up incentivizing accountability between every American so that they can be able to achieve what it is that they can achieve based off of their own merit and not out of the pockets of every other American that's also dealing with these struggles as well. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha, man.